Hey everyone, welcome to Beauty and the Beast podcast. I am your host, Kendra Lust, with my co-host, Julian Marquez. And today we have a very special guest who's going to be on our show. She is a very, very talented and beautiful adult performer who I've had the pleasure of working with. I did make a couple notes here, guys, so bear with me. Her name is LENA Paul, and we are going to talk to her not only about her experience in the business, but also who she is outside of the business. But today is a very special episode because at the end of this episode, and I want you guys to listen to the very end. If you listen to the entire episode, there will be a special surprise. So stay tuned and make sure you listen the whole way through. Our guest, LENA, has a passion for entertaining and enticing, and she's going to share some of her industry secrets and some hot and steamy stories. So with all of that being said,
you get the best intros. I was like filming you for my Instagram live because I was like, oh, look at her, she's so cute.
Thank you so much for coming to join us. We are so excited to have you. It's been forever,
like years.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know, but I know we had some fun, that's for sure.
Honestly, memorably fun. You know, like there's good days and then there's good days.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm flirting with your co-host. I'm being bad.
Oh, that's okay. I know. Yes.
Oh, you good? I'm over here just listening, admiring.
Absolutely. So, LENA, you've been in the industry since 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You have, when I was reading this, I was really surprised. Only one award. I think, are you kidding me? When I read that, I was like, I cannot be reading this right. Because you, honestly, I mean, you're a very talented performer, but your girl just gave me chills. You are amazing. Like, you get into your scene. And I was watching some the last couple nights, and I'm just like getting sidetracked. And I'm supposed to.
Wow, I'm blushing.
No, I mean it. You are just incredible. So it was a pleasure working with you. And
likewise.
Yeah, what are you working on now? What type of projects?
Oh my gosh, it's been so long since we talked. Like that feels like a whole lifetime ago. Like it's so crazy that you say that. I have been so this week, okay, I can finally talk about it. I'm so glad that we talked like this week instead of last week because I've literally not said a word to anybody about this. But I'm in a writer's room for a major they're streaming. I don't want to say too much. I'm in a writer's room for a TV show right now, centering on, you know, the world that you and I came up in. And I'm so excited about it.
Wow, congratulations. I mean, that is really an honor to be able to do that. So
it feels surreal. This is my second day, our second day all together. And it's just incredible so far. I'm so excited. The team is so talented. They're people that like I've grown up watching their work, and it's just I'm so starstruck to be in the room with these people. It's really exciting.
Is this going to be like a TV show, like a Silicon Valley style, or?
I do not want to get it spanked by the showrunner. He will chase me around the room. He's gay, not like that, but
depending.
Honestly, there are some attractive people in this writer's room, but I'm trying to be a good girl. Fortunately, because of COVID, you know, we're all on Zoom, so it's a little bit. But the whole series, though, it's ensemble scripted. It's not reality or anything like that. So definitely getting like the full production treatment and in the fictionalized, sensationalized thing. It's a human story that just happens to take place in our world. You know, like the idea is not to make it so like I love Boogie Nights, for example. Like Boogie Nights, it's fun, but like you and me watch it, Kendra, and it's like that's not our experience per se. And it's also, I don't think like a world that people necessarily like there's a lot about it that's accurate, but there's a certain like vulnerability and like humanity that's missing. You know, my goal is Orange is the New Black, but sluts.
Right?
Let's go.
Let's never die.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it. So, okay, so this is day 2 of the project. Now, how long are you?
Well, this is like day 100, but this is day 2 of the writers' room. There was a lot of pre-production that went into this side of it.
This I am really excited. I'm so curious.
Well, I'm gonna talk to you about it because like we're gonna talk about this for like other reasons later on, but like off camera.
All right, we'll just cut me out of this.
Well, Julian, like in Boogie Nights, right? We did have fluffers, right? I don't know.
Wait, what?
Are you calling me a fucking fluffer?
Fluffer era.
Are you calling me a fluffer?
Got fluffers.
You got fluffers. But you fluff the ladies, not the guys. Yeah, no. You're like you're fluffing.
I'll take that job, but
yeah,
okay, here we
go. There's fluffers. It's like, oh man, like that meme of like, you guys are getting paid. Like,
I saw that actually the other day. That was pretty funny. The writer's room, what all is it you're doing? You guys just sit there and you kind of just tell your story or your part. They ask you questions. How does it really
like a lot of times, for authenticity, like you bring in people that are technical or that have experience. If you're writing a story about war, you're going to bring in a colonel, you're going to bring in a variety of grunts, like you're going to bring in people that have had that experience. And that's really like when they first started talking to me about that project, like honestly, like that's what I thought that it was going to be like, okay, I'm just going to come in, I'm just going to tell people about, like this is what life is really like. This is not like that wouldn't happen, that would happen. But I'm actually writing an episode, the involvement has like grown and I'm like writing an episode for this that I'm really excited about doing. Like I love to bring characters into this world and like, we don't get to say certain things. Like we have to be a character all the time. I'm really excited to show who we are when the cameras stop rolling.
Yeah. So it's a BTS, but it's humanizing, I guess, a little bit more of what we do and more realistic than like, I guess your reference to the Boogie Nights type of thing. I don't know.
I think that sex work is so much more accessible than it's ever been. Like, OnlyFans just released the statistics that when COVID began, they had 100,000 creators on their website. And when they posted it maybe like a month ago, 2 months ago, that number had swelled to 1 million. So there were 900,000 new sex workers or sex workers that were elsewhere that moved into OnlyFans in that span of time. Like that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's in a way, I think it is, and I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I really think that it has helped to change the stigma related to sex work. And it's people see that it's not just one thing. It's not just sex on camera, that there's various types of sex work and that people from all walks of life, are able to experiment with their sexuality while monetizing, with that vulnerability and with that ability to kind of, I don't know, explore things they never thought they would. So I think it's a positive thing. And hey, I'm not hating that there's 900,000 more people. I'm
right.
And I love it. The more the merrier.
I think people got more comfortable on the fact that like prior to like COVID times, everyone thought of porn like you had to go to a production. You're going to have, sexual encounters with, random actors that you don't know that aren't your, significant other, things like that. And you would pay somebody, they would pay you an X amount of dollars and then you'd be on there and you never get any more of that money, and no matter how many times that is viewed. Where versus like OnlyFans gave them the platform, the opportunity to actually do it in their own home with their own comfortability, their own people, and they would get paid for their work, months and weeks and years later. And I think it's really opened the eyes of the public to like make people realize that like it's not like a terrible stigma like everyone had prior to COVID. I think it's actually really cool to see all the people that I saw prior to it that are now on it. And I'm just like, I never would have guessed how they spoke that they would be doing this. And now they love it. It's the only thing they love to do.
Yes.
I love that I love that like philosophical understanding that you talked about how civilians are like, wow, like this isn't this kind of scary thing. Cause like, I think we all felt weird at some point in our life, like watching porn, like, are these people being exploited? Like, this is weird. It's kind of like a farm to table porn thing where it feels like, the person on the other side of the screen. It makes you feel a little bit differently about the media that you're engaging with.
Absolutely. Speaking of like that, tell us about like your first time ever going on camera, because I know that probably would be insane. Like I still don't feel comfortable sending like nudes. I've never sent a nude in my entire life, but I'm like, I never
You
went
never sent a nude?
No,
That's kind of amazing. Like never, not once.
not once. I won't.
Wow.
See,
That's impressive. Like in
I
this
knew
day.
I knew I was gonna be famous, and I never wanted it to come back and bite me. You know what I mean?
Oh, I feel like I'm like proud of you. I like don't even know you. Like that's so impressive that you were able to like keep that long. Like that's smart.
You know, little legend, a little kid. You know.
I love it. Like some people just know that they're born for greatness. Like that's very good. I love that. I did not. I was just like, you know, some of us get into this job and like now, like it's so cool, like you said, because there's not that same stigma. So people are sort of exploring this from like a more empowered perspective of like, wow, like this is a really efficient way to make a lot of money in a short period of time if you fit certain criteria. As opposed to like before, because of the stigma, it was kind of something that like you got into with like your back against the wall. And I didn't necessarily get into it with my back against the wall, but I was kind of like, I was very like goal oriented. Like, okay, I have a dollar number, like I'm getting in and I'm getting out. Like it was like a heist. Like I'm walking in, I'm walking out. Like it was that. And the first day I was so, it was like you're like game day, like giving yourself a talk. You're like, okay, no matter fucking what, you know that you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So what you can bring into this is just look like you're having the best fucking time and people will forgive you.
Yeah, yes, but that's right. I love it. You're right. Continue.
Like
listening.
Yeah. No, I love that. I feel like when I walked in, it was a Miami place, and like everything up until that point, like getting to Miami was like kind of weird, but like when I walked on set, like everything felt so good. It felt really natural. Like, you know, like you start like probably like the first time that like you did your sport and you're just like, this feels right. Like something clicked in me, and like it just, all the nerves went away, and it just felt like I was like shooting the shit with these two guys, and then it just got, you know, progressively more escalated, and it just felt like I floated through the scene. And it was such an adrenaline rush, and it was so like, because once you're there, it's the point of no return. So like there's no point in being nervous. Like you're past the point of being nervous. Nervous was 2 weeks ago when you bought the ticket. Like just enjoy the ride at that point.
Yes.
And yeah, that was kind of it. Like I think some people, like I get more nervous waiting for something to happen than when something actually happens.
That makes sense. It's similar to fighting as well. Like we get nervous in the preparation, we get nervous on the build-up, we get nervous all the way up until it's time to walk out and go out there. Then all of a sudden you're strutting like you got $1 million.
Yeah.
You're ready to rock out, and you go out there and you perform. But I can see similarities to
you like channel this like different state. You like access this like part of you that like you only feel in like this one context. And like up until that moment in my life, I had like never felt that. And I was just like, And then I was like, I think this is gonna become a problem. And so then it was like that was all I wanted to do for like a couple of years. I just lived there.
Yes, it's empowering. I really feel you feel, I don't know, it's just, I can't explain it. Being in front of the camera, it's just, I can kind of relate. Well, I kind of feel the same way. You know, when you're into Pretty Girls, you're in music, you go, it's like this different place, different level of consciousness and state of mind, like alter ego, and it's go time. Like, you know, this is my shit. I'm ready.
I feel like that's what you and I have in common, Kendra, is like when I met you, like what made you stand out to me was like you were very normal in your life. Like you had this very like you were very competent, you were very capable, like you were like a woman's woman. You weren't like the girls that we see sometimes that are just, they're like nothing against them, but they're just young. You know, you had all of these dimensions, and it was really cool because when we met in the makeup chair and we were talking, you're just like all shucksy and like cute and Midwestern, and then like the camera switched on and I was like, who is she?
I have to like come out, and
it was so cool. Like you were literally like the alter ego switched on, and I was like, oh, I like her.
Yeah, well, I liked you. I had fun. I
It was cool. It was cool.
remember telling Professor X all about it.
You guys like keep going back to this time you guys went. What is this, 2018 that you guys did this? 2019?
It was
Something like that.
around there. Yeah, I just
2-3 years ago, something like that.
And did you guys do it? Did you guys do it for a like production company, or did you do it on OnlyFans?
Production company.
Did you guys steal the footage and put it on your OnlyFans?
no, but
We
weird.
weren't really OnlyFans girls then.
Well,
No.
I mean, right now though, you could take it. Like, I'm pretty sure hundreds of thousands of millions of people would like to see you two reunite. I'm pretty sure.
Well, maybe if they ask us really nicely on our channels. And
Ask you really nicely. Okay.
ask us really, I mean, like twist my arm. Like, oh darn, I have to go work with Kendra. You know?
It's
Oh no, I can see why you're the best actor. I can see it. You deserve another
If you
award.
do what you love, you never work a day in your life. And you're like always skirting the line between being a creep and staying in character. And like you really like that's a very fine line to walk.
Yes, and it can get people in trouble, you know, and I think we've all teetered on that edge just a little bit.
Oh yeah, we've all like made a little accidental because it's tough because office politics happen in every job. But what do our office politics look like when your clothes are off? Like,
Yeah. Totally different.
it's a minefield. It's totally different.
Julian's head just.
I'm interested because now I want to see like how do you guys work? Like I want to hear these DMs. Like so outside of the office, do you guys find people outside of it, or do you have significant others? I know Kendra, you are married, but sometimes you like to have a lot of various women on your OnlyFans. But Lena, what about you? How do you do it outside the work? How do you go through people's DMs? Do you slide in?
So honestly, like my life before COVID and my life after COVID were like completely different. Like I eat, pray, loved it up in COVID. Like I had my whole little like hippie thing. And like I always had a man, and then like I kind of kept like my urges in like you know, like it wasn't the person that I was with wasn't enough. But I definitely like kept myself in a kind of like ultra horny mindset, you know, like you have to stay like hungry all the time. So I like intimacy was for the partners, and then like being a horny crazy whore was for the cameras. And then after COVID, I've been single, and it's been funny because like oddly, it's kind of like finding a job when you have a job. It's like way easier. Like finding men to fuck. I'm picky now. Like I'm older and I know what I want. Like part of what was easy about porn in your early 20s is that you're figuring out what you want. So like you're this ultimate like blank slate upon which people can project whatever. Like you're clay to be molded, you know? And I loved like trying every flavor, but like I'm 27 now and I know what I like.
Yes. And tell us, what kind of guy, I have to ask now, or what is your flavor? What do you look for in a guy or a partner? Because, you know, everybody likes different things.
You know, what I want in a partner and what I want in a scene partner are actually like, well, they're actually not that different. Fuck. Oh well. What I want is really like when I'm working with somebody, it's not that I want an emotional entanglement, but I want like a certain level of emotional literacy. Like look me in my eye, stay connected with me, communicate with me what genuinely feels good to you, because what genuinely feels good to you translates to the camera and then it sells. It's not that I want to be a creep. It's that we're trying to get a mood going, you know?
Yeah.
It just, some of us, that's what we need to like create the work environment that we want. And so like I want sensual partners. Like I don't care what they look like. Like I want passion, I want connection, I want all of that stuff, you know?
Yes,
I feel like with that you break a lot of people's hearts in that type of deal. I feel like you get them to come over and you guys shoot your scene, and then you get that connection and they're like, oh my God, this person's real. And you're like, oh, off to the next. And they're like,
yeah, I okay, before OnlyFans,
let's go.
no. Like before OnlyFans, no. It was so like set is such a like I love set sex because it's so tidy, you know? I don't call you, you don't call me. Our people your people talk to my people, talk to some middlemen, and then like we show up and we're kind of kept away from each other, and then we're like unleashed upon each other. OnlyFans is a whole different thing. We're texting each other at weird times. Like we show up to a hotel room with nobody there. Like I like the way Kendra runs it. Like Kendra has like a whole operation. Like she runs it like a professional operation, and it's very streamlined. I have noticed amongst the OnlyFans girls, because like I've worked with some of them now, their boundaries aren't as tidy. And it's interesting to watch. Like there's good things about this new world that we're in, but there's also things about these girls that are coming in that like I worry about them.
Yes, and I get that. And, you know, sometimes I'm really not as tidy. You know, it just depends. Like if it's a last minute trip type thing, I can be all over the place. And unfortunately, like it is what it is. But I think it is much better when you kind of have an idea of what you're going to do and you have people just to kind of handle all the rest of the stuff, because then you get to show up and just do what you love and have fun. And that you take it out of it. So I get what you're saying about that, though, because I have encountered myself with, you know, talent that is maybe kind of not on the same page. And that's okay, because we are all learning. Like I'm still making mistakes, you know, and that's how we grow. But it does make it easier when people are on the same page, for sure.
And like, to be quite honest with you, you can get fucked so hard. You fall in love for like 30 seconds. Like it's like 30 seconds. Like it'll go, it's chemical, it'll pass. But like sometimes you do come so hard that for a second I'm like, wow. I'm not saying I'd keep it, but I'd really think about it, man.
Right? I love it.
Amazing.
Yeah. I got chills from that one. Like that was fun. That legitimate. Okay, I'm gonna show it. It's true though. Like, you know what you're saying.
It's typical.
Yeah, it's normal.
They say that a woman, the only time that you release more of the human bonding hormone than when a woman has has like an actual orgasm is when you're breastfeeding your child. So if a man can actually make you come, like he's a problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, you gotta get your head right.
That's right. A lot of the women don't, though. That's the thing too. And sadly, more women than we would like to, I guess, admit, or that we don't even realize that, you know, a large percentage, I forgot what it was. I should know this, but maybe it was 7. I don't know.
I think it was 7 out of 10 women don't have orgasms consistently.
That's so sad. So
it's really sad. And it really comes down to, like, I think it's a culture that doesn't prioritize female pleasure, but like that starts outside of the bedroom. Like you have to set up that environment for a woman, like before she even walks in. Like to a certain degree, that's why I'm aggressive with women, is not like because like, not to tip my hat or like show my cards too heavily, but like women want to feel wanted. Women want to feel devoured and consumed. And so like if you can occupy that aggressive energy, like you can kind of change something for them psychologically of like, oh, I can let go and I can relax because like you're in charge.
Yes. Yeah.
Would you mind explaining one of your off-scene approaches? How would you approach that situation for some of our viewers? How would you approach to make that woman comfortable to where they're not going to be a statistic of 7 out of 10 to not achieve maximum climax?
Oh, okay. Well, there's 2 different answers, and I've realized this in dealing with women, and I'm not saying that this is like a good thing per se. This is my personal experience, is what I'll say. And this isn't universal to everybody, but I realized that there's like 2 types of women. There's women who already know what they want, and then there's women who, for various reasons, have no fucking clue what they want. And so what they really want is to be released from the anxiety of being asked what they want. You tell them what to do. Yep. So like for women that don't feel sexually assertive, you find that they want to be dominated almost as like a way of like being shown the ropes. Like they want to be possessed, consumed, like made a rag doll. Like, because if you can't come, being made to feel deeply desired is the second best dopamine hit that I can give you. So if I can't give you an orgasm, I will at least convince you that you are the most beautiful woman that I've ever seen, and that the only thing that in which I exist at this moment for is your vagina. Like, doesn't that feel good to be on the receiving end of that? Don't we all want that?
Anyone.
Yeah.
And then for a woman who's a grown woman and who knows what she wants, communication. And really, like, the goal is not that we wind up parenting the people that we fuck sometimes, unfortunately, like when we're entangled with them. But like, you kind of want to lead the person that doesn't know what they want into a space like you wrap them up a little bit to get them comfortable, and like now the ice is broken. It's like, okay, what did you like? What did you not like? It's like that scene in Princess Bride with Mandy Patinkin, and it's like, oh, rate that on a scale of 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Like,
though. But this is great education, not only for women, seeking women, but for men too, and because a lot of women obviously can't come because they're not comfortable. Like you're saying, they don't feel desired, or they I guess, like you said, they don't know what they want. So this is good. I mean, for all of us. I mean, I think we know a lot of this stuff, but a lot of people don't, and
my dad is this like hillbilly bootlegger. Like, he's 90 and he like ran moonshine in the Great Depression. I shit you not. But he was this like fucking silver fox, like poon hound. Like, my mom said that like the answering machine was full of lovelorn lovers until I was like 5, like still calling and asking about him.
You call your dad a poon hound?
A poon hound.
It's part of a family curse. I'm sorry, but it's if he was sitting right here next to me, he'd be like, how'd you think you got here? Like,
oh my God.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The one thing that I saw about my father when I was studying my father, because like my father could still do it like into his 60s and 70s. Like, I'd watch waitresses like throw themselves at him, and he really understood business. He was like this, like, he came up poor, dirt poor, and like made something of himself over time. And he was always like, honey, the business of business is people. If you don't understand people, then you don't understand business. And I took that into sex work. And I really, instead of like, everybody's like, oh, how do you move your tongue? How do you use your dick? How do you whatever? Study people.
Yeah.
Like, study what they want, study what they actually want, because what they say they want and what they really want are often different.
Yes.
So you choose your performance on the fly, where you see their body moving and how their body reacts to certain positions or certain, I guess, areas you're touching. That's how you study, correct?
Well, and you watch them, like some of it's trial and error. Like, I love that my body count is so high. It makes you a kind of researcher almost. But like the fact that you watch certain people and you watch how they act outside of the bedroom, and then you watch how they are in the bedroom. The loudest fucking man outside of the bedroom wants to be made a bitch in the bedroom. Like, right. He wants to, like, if you flip the script on that man outside, like that in the bedroom, he's yours forever. And if you keep his secret, like, anything you want is his, because you've given him something, which is relinquishment of power. Yes. That he desperately needs. Yeah, because he walks around in control all the time. She's like, yeah, she gets it.
Yes. Is this how you guys get like cool like purses and shit like that?
Exactly.
I don't know. It just happens sometimes. But yeah,
she's still playing it. I'm like, no, that's exactly how that works.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's yeah, and they showcase that like in movies a lot too. So like you see this politician down on his knees and this dominatrix and. But I don't think a lot of people don't understand that or don't get that. So it's kind of fun.
It's really like, I actually love it. Like, I'm not even trying to be manipulative. Like, I'm genuinely a pleaser. Like, for me, in my opinion, the first caregiving job in history was mother. The second caregiving job was prostitute. Like, it wasn't nurse, it wasn't doctor. Like, the second job that we did that we got compensated with resources for was making men feel good. We made babies feel good and we made men feel good, and they took care of us. So to me, there's a kind of like, I don't know, like I love watching people release their stress. Like, that's what sex is about. I love watching people. Sorry, I got so deep with this, but I'm sorry.
We're learning. See, we're studying you, like in your brain now, right? So it's a good thing. So people want to know how you tick and how you navigate, through what you do and why you do the things you do. So I'm enjoying it.
I think I'm like a sex nerd kind of.
It's very interesting. And I think, people don't view us as maybe intellectual on any level a lot of times. And not that we really care, but I think, a lot of us dig a little bit deeper or are more interested in our craft than just performing. The science behind it is also important. So you've done.
I don't see it any different in any sport. Like if you talk to an NFL player, they'll be able to dive in on absolutely what they like and how they do things, what they see, and they're able to coach others. Same thing as MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu, you could do hockey, any sport you do that. So I'm not saying you guys are.
No, but it makes sense what you're saying. Like, because you notice that I feel like so many of, I don't know, like, do you feel like when you go for coaching that are people really giving you technique, or is the first thing they're talking to you is about mindset?
They give you mindset, but it's all conceptions. Like they give you a concept of what to do, and then you have to, dial it into yourself to who you are. Like you're not going to be able to perform the same as Kendra, and Kendra's not going to be able to perform as you, but they can tell you, hey, around this area, this is what you're going to do, and you'll find your own groove and you'll find your own style because it's all concepts.
I like that. That's like really there is a kind of like athleticism to this work in a way. And we see that on the production back end. Like I know Kendra's a pretty sophisticated producer, and filming a live sporting event and filming a movie is actually very much the same because it's happening in real time. It's improvisational. It helps everybody if there's a certain rhythm and flow to it, like you said, and that rhythm and flow is not going to look the same thing to everybody, but if you're really skillful, it's kind of like a dance between everybody that's involved, and you kind of like that flow state just feels good in my brain. Like I don't know how else to say it, but like when you're there and everything's working, it feels so good.
I'd be curious to see what kind of personality type you are, just to see what kind of like how your mind functions.
My Myers-Briggs is ENFP. I don't know if you guys
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you're a detailed person then?
Well, no, I'm a party person. I
want your attention to details. You have the small details. You're not like, I'm gonna overpower you with my body type of person. You're the person that kind of maneuvers and weaves in the small little muscle movements, the small little movements of what type of personality you are.
Maybe, I don't know. I think that like it's really easy for me to look at other people, but it's not as easy to look internally. Like for me, it's like I almost for a long time, like I avoided like deconstructing too much about my technique because it was like I didn't want to overthink too much. Like everybody was like, we like how you just look like you're having a good time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna show up and have a good time. And then over time, like I think like one criticism that was leveled at me early on is they're like, you're kind of clumsy on set. And I'm like, you are absolutely right. And I don't care because I wasn't taking it seriously. And then over time, as I got more and more, as you said, detail oriented, you hear the feedback from the coaches, or in our cases, the consumers, and like, you don't even mean to, but over time you become like more and more sophisticated at it's very odd. Like it's a very odd thing. And then it's even harder to make sure that you turn that off in the bedroom when you're actually having like sexual experiences that are just for you, and like making sure that LENA doesn't make her way into other things, because it's like, oh, I know my face looks stupid when I come, so I better make sure that I don't do that when I'm actually coming,
No, it's true though, but oh God, I'll never forget. And we're going to eventually have to have him on the show. Mr. Pete, I remember him saying something about my O face. Okay. Like that face. Mm-hmm. He was like, you're really pretty, Kendra. He's like, but some of the faces you make when you're getting ready. I was like, you know what? I'm not changing it. I'm having fun. And it is what it is. But then I was like, oh God, maybe, and but I was like, what? Oh, well, we have to have fun with it. But again, you just kind of tweak it a little bit, but not completely change, the reason you got into it and having fun in the process. Because I think when you start doing that and worrying about, I worked with this one girl, everything was always covered, every wrinkle. And we have flaws and that's okay. But we're having fun, but we're just refining ourselves slowly but surely, to kind of get where we're.
Do you feel like you ever deal with burnout in this job? Like, do you feel like, because I feel like it's sometimes like a cycle with that enthusiasm. Like you kind of have to like almost, it's like you go through that cycle and then you have to like step back and recharge sort of.
Absolutely.
Or is it just me?
Nope, I do. And it's good because then I miss it. And I do other things, and then okay, I'm excited. I'm going to shoot or whatever. So I think it is kind of good to mix it up, because the first probably 5 years I was just I was going very hard and filming a lot and just, putting a lot into it. And then it's like, oh my gosh, I need a break.
How long have you been in now, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh yeah, no, almost anything you can ask me. 2012. So yeah, it's been a while. Yeah. So
it's so cool watching the trajectory of your career. Like you've always been personally, like you look for blueprints of like people that you feel like are doing it the way that you want to do it. And like I've always loved that about you, of like it just seemed like you kept balance to your life. And maybe it's that I'm hitting that 5-year mark that you're talking about, because like I feel like I ran into a wall this past year where I was just like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna go do something else and I'm gonna hope that this comes back. And it's starting to come back. Like the enthusiasm is starting to build up again. And I'm so reassured talking to you.
It's kind of crazy. What have you done for yourself though before to get, because you said you just went hard for 5 years and you got out of it, but what have you done for you?
Man, where were you like 18 months ago, Julian? Where were you 18 months ago? But I really, so like the first few years I was married and I was providing for a family and all of that stuff. And it was really kind of like, I was almost in the man role, like to be crass, but like there is that kind of thing that happens in our job that you see so often of like the woman becomes the breadwinner and then there's like this whole dynamic thing. Yeah. So like for 3 years, I ate, breathed, and slept, taking care of babies that weren't mine or taking care of babies that weren't mine, but sugar babies. Then I was just like, okay, I moved on and I grew and I became a different person and we mutually went our separate ways. And then I was like, all right, I'm going to just do the shit out of my OnlyFans and I'm going to be like the OnlyFans girl. And that built up. And then the OnlyFans got to the point where it was just what it became in COVID. And I was like, wow, okay. So what is sex work to me when it's no longer survival sex work? What does sex work mean to me when I don't have to wake up and go to work? And for a minute, there was almost like it was like, when you've been really disciplined at a sport, for example, like I've noticed that fighters are like ballerinas. Like they have this weird thing with food, right? Because it's this forbidden thing. Like you guys get like fetishy about food. Like fuck sex. Like if I just slow drizzle some like chocolate syrup over a sundae, like that's how to get a fighter like losing his shit. Is just
let's
go. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we're talking psychology, you feed a fighter. You don't gotta fuck them. Everybody wants to fuck them. You feed them good and they come back to you.
Yeah.
There we go. You got it down.
But whenever I stepped away, I was like, it was like my inner child. I had just like, there was no fun. There was no anything. Like there was no me time. And so I just like crashed for a little while and I just wanted to lay on a beach in Hawaii and just do nothing while the world was nuts. And then I started like painting and creating shit and doing whatever. And I was like, I don't want to do porn. Fuck this shit. This is terrible. But I was just burnt out. It was just that. And now I'm like doing this series and I'm reminiscing about like all of these things that I loved about sex work. And I'm like, okay, I kind of miss it. Maybe I just was tired. Maybe I just, there has to be balance in life. Like too much of anything is bad. And it doesn't make that thing bad. It just means that you need a different way of approaching it.
Yeah, you just need space between your work and your actual reality. Like if you just let it consume you, it will eat you alive. Like I just trained for 11 months nonstop. I was out for 31 months on an injury and I trained for 11 months. And I wanted to be back for so long in 31 months. And then I get back and I'm nonstop training, nonstop dieting for 11 months. And then it got to the point where I was like, yo, fuck practice. Fuck this shit. And it's because I was so focused, hyper-focused, and just my life revolved around training, which isn't bad. But like right now I can eat. I don't have to worry about the stress of a fight or the stress of a performance or the stress of dieting or the stress of, mandatory training. Like I'm just now enjoying it. I'm going out, having fun, hanging out with friends, having a social life. And then
doesn't it taste so much better after that deprivation though? Like there's something that's like sickly great about that.
It just feels good. And then it gets you more hungry. So like when you go back, you're just this whole nother animal. And it's like the next time you go into your set, the next time you go into your training session or whatever, you have like this new energy and you're this new person. You're like, damn, like, I didn't believe I could do this. Everyone can feel the energy. Everyone's like, dude, you've gotten so much better on your time off. And it's just because you recharge, you revamped, you refocus.
Yeah.
I mean, we have literally the same job. It's just, I make people bleed, you make people squirt. That's the difference.
I like that. That's a great. Yeah, maybe that's why I've always liked fighters so much. That was always like, maybe it's like the same type of brain that just wants to be like consumed by, like, you know, we have two speeds, right? Like, I'm resting or I'm going, and like I can't really do one or the other. So I really like this kind of cyclical, like, I like living my life in seasons as opposed to just being chained to one schedule for like the rest of my life. And I think a lot of people got that way during COVID too.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the way we all were raised though, right? We were all raised going into school at certain seasons between this time and this time for quarters and everything. And like, you'd have like great quarters and just, you have the summers off, you're ready to party and relax, not have to worry about anything. And then you go back into it. Whereas now most people are stuck in a 9 to 5, but our jobs, we control everything. We control when and what we want to do.
Yeah, I read that somewhere something like 60% of Fortune 500 executives that were surveyed had traits that looked sort of like ADHD. But it's really true, though, that I think if you're like kind of not thrill seeking per se, but kind of like, I'm always looking for that hit of like, but being excellent at something is like the hit, you know, like that's what I want, is that moment of like, ooh, this like really came together. Like that's what really makes me happy. And I think just always seeking, like, I've always seen those TED Talks about like, you know, the great thing, executives and crackheads have like the same thing in common, you know, like it's like the same type of brain, but it really is kind of like that, you know, you go and then you can't, and then you rejuvenate, and then you party again.
It's your controlled substance.
Yes, on to the next episode, right? Into the next, you know, the next high or the next project, you know, but how great is it, you know, to feel accomplished and to do that and to do it with excellence. And that's what's going to happen, or that's what that is what we're hoping for with your project that you're working on.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's so like, you know, it's like being pregnant kind of, you know, like you're just trying to like you're just like, you just want this outcome, but it's still kind of uncertain, but it's like, we're started. It's really, it's heavily likely, but there's still that chance. Yeah. So it's like, I, you know, like feeling like even now talking about it, I'm like, don't jinx it.
Yes. Okay. So we won't talk about it. We are just going to like send positive energy down to
you.
you.
I appreciate you so much.
So you are in Kentucky or Tennessee?
Tennessee. I'm actually not in Tennessee right now. I'm in California until we finish production on this project and then the project after that, because there's actually another one right after it.
Great.
So that one's reality.
Yes. How is it there though? I mean, I was there not too long ago and I don't want to talk too much COVID stuff, but are things starting to open up, or what is the vibe like out there right now?
The world is opening back up, which is very weird. You know, there's theaters that are open, restaurants, like I can have meetings again, you know, like I'm waiting on my second jab and all of that good stuff. But at the same time, we still test so heavily because of what we do. And like really it feels there's a silver lining. It's coming slowly, but it's coming. I think right now, you know, production is obvious. Who knows what's going to happen with mainstream production? Just thank God for OnlyFans. That's it. I'm so grateful for OnlyFans in this post-COVID world. It's almost like survivor's guilt.
Yes.
What are you doing in California outside of your typical work day and stuff? Like, what are your hobbies? Are you going out like skateboarding, you know, on the sidewalks, going to Venice? Like, what's up? Tell me something.
I got really crunchy granola-y the longer I've been in California. I got like, it's really like my hillbilly family is so fed up with my shit. But like I got really obsessed with meditation this past year. And so I've been doing like lots of meditation like if I'm not working, I'm doing something related to that and to that practice. Like a friend of mine owns a school on like a studio, and I'm
a yoga studio or like a
it's like
meditations.
Meditations sound bad. Like whatever the hell, like that stuff. It's that stuff.
Wait, are you talking about like the hot water and like the bowl dish that they run around? Like,
oh yeah, like the whole 9 yards.
You're that deep.
I am balls deep in this crunchy shit, and I hate because I am, as you can see, like I'm such a nerd. Like I have to see it and quantify it and be able to understand it. And for whatever reason, my little stressed out brain, I think because it's so absurd, like that's where my brain wants to go to chill. It's like you can't explain it. It's purely placebo or whatever. The more you try and deconstruct it, the less it works. So just like it's like this weird contrast for me that's helpful. But I sit.
That's great. No, I think all of us should be taking more time to be in the moment, or just to decompress, de-stress, not think, and just be. And that is so hard for so many. So I mean, kudos to you to be able to do that.
Well, I have no choice. Like, I don't know about you, but like, I know you have so many different businesses. So when people are like, what are your hobbies? It's like, my hobby is preserving my sanity until the next meeting.
That's good. That's a great way.
You know what I mean, though? Like I know that it's such a flow for you. Like you're such a pro and you've been doing this forever. But like I know that these types of maintenance processes for you are probably already like second nature. I think I'm learning that now.
No, COVID has really taken a toll on me. Let me tell you, has it
been hard for you to slow down because you're such a go-getter?
It's just, I think I have a hard time being home more, and I love being home, but I used to be so on time. Ask Julian. I'm not on time for shit now. And he probably wants to strangle me. Okay, rightfully so. I'm guilty. So I've gotten more relaxed because it's kind of more on my own terms. And I need to get back. I need the world to open up. It needs to open up fast.
Yeah. Like you feel like there's like a kind of like framework that's missing from your life because of these like external obligations, kind of.
I would have 6 months planned in advance. These are the weeks I'm going away. And then everything kind of worked around that. Now it's kind of like, okay, I need to do this. So it's been, I think, harder for me to stay on, and then the homeschooling, that type of thing. So,
oh my God, are you homeschooled? I was homeschooled 18 years of my life. Well, with the 15 years of whatever, the math is.
That's where that wild, like, sexual seductress, see?
All of it just cooped up in the house. Like, yeah, I had like 18 years of cooped up.
Your dad, what is it? The Poonhound is talking.
He knew, like game recognized game. And he was like, I'm just doing like, this is just damage reduction. Or what's the word? Like risk minimization at this point.
All right. So I want to hear this now. Since you got the energy of the Poonhound and since you got this amazing game, I love that term. I'm going to start saying
that's classic. Amazing. That's great.
It's like old 90s like comedy movie, like some frat bro.
Two things you said on this podcast that like I haven't heard since I lived. I lived in Missouri. I'm back in Missouri. But being in Missouri.
You're from Missouri?
Yeah.
What
Kansas
part?
City, Missouri.
Kansas City.
Yeah.
So I heard I shit you not, and I'm with it. You got me.
I've spent more time in Kentucky and Tennessee and like where I'm from this past year. It's been so healing for me to be back among my people. Like, oh my God, I love it. Like I love my hillbilly people.
They love you. We know it. I mean, we know it. I mean, how could you not? Like, I would love.
I don't think people know that I'm Southern. Like, I don't really talk about. Like, I didn't really talk about my life before porn or anything like that. But I love about you is like I feel like everybody from the Midwest like knows your name, Kendra. Like, I think everybody knows that you're like this like Michigan princess.
I don't know. I mean, there's other girls that have come out. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, no, we're talking about you though.
I'm sorry. I'm trying not to be starstruck. It's like hard.
So let's hear it. Let's hear it from the guru, from the love guru. I'm going to call you that. Miss Poonhound. What is your favorite? Give us your favorite DM to slide in.
Yes.
Tell me if you got hit with any of them.
Like who do I hit up or who hits in my DMs?
Vice versa. Give me some examples of like a great DM, how you do the entry, how you do get their attention, slide into the DM with someone you don't know versus
I attract.
You attract. So tell me what gets your attention on a slide in a DM.
politeness. I think just brevity and politeness. Like, I hate that. Like, hey, can I ask you a question? Like, no, just like state your business. Like, are you here because you want some type of promo deal, or would you like my vagina? Like, don't like be direct, be straightforward. If it's one thing, let it be one thing. Like, I'm a busy, like, okay, there's again, we're talking two different kinds of women. So some women want the little like tiptoe around, and like if you come at them too direct, but like I have a life, I have a job, I'm trying to maintain friendships in my life. Like, the easier that you make it, the more that you take care of the details, honestly, the more grateful I am. Again, so that psychology thing, I have to be in charge of all of this shit outside of the bedroom. Like, the more that somebody can take care of for me, the more likely I am going to be like, oh my God, thank you. Please just take it. Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Yes.
So just polite and direct. So how many polite and direct people you have in your DMs, or do you even check them?
Oh my God, you know what I did in the beginning of in the beginning of COVID is I realized, like, right as lockdown was happening, that your external DMs, that you could sort it by top.
Yeah.
And all these fucking blue check marks that I had missed for like 5 years. Like, every competition, every athlete, I did not see a goddamn single DM from an athlete of whatever. Like, maybe it was fate. Maybe they knew that I would just like ruin my life or like get killed or something. But like, I did not see a single DM until this year. That was how busy I was with the job. Because it's so hard to do everything. My God, Kendra knows this.
Yeah, it's hard because there's many platforms and you're wearing many hats. So maybe it was a good thing. And I'm a firm believer things happen for a reason.
It literally is a reason.
Yeah. And you know, the nice thing is they're still there. I mean, we can just take a look.
There was one that was like a I'm gonna mute myself. I don't know what's happening.
Backlash.
That's weird.
Sorry. Yeah, it's okay.
But
I don't know what just happened.
Yeah, it's okay. We can.
All good.
Yeah.
The guy that I responded back to was like my childhood teen heartthrob. He was like in one of those bullshit franchise movies. It just has shit tons of explosions and like no real substance. But he was a heartthrob, and he was in my DMs like in the beginning of COVID. And at the very beginning of COVID, I was in a relationship. But I read it right as I was getting out of the breakup, and I was like, yes, I will have a hot affair with a celebrity. Thank you. Check, please.
Good for you. Good for you. Perfect timing. I think timing is everything.
Timing truly was everything. Because then it was also guilt-free. Like, before, up until that point, I'd been pretty much wiped up the whole time I was in porn. So there was no dilemma. There was no do I, don't I, like, am I a good girl? Do I don't want to be a good girl? Like, my conscience was clean. I was able to hit him up. Super fun. Great. Thank you. 10 out of 10. Yes.
There you go. No attachments. I love it.
Well, it's still, I don't want to. It's still ongoing.
Okay, nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, you're having fun and there's no guilt. I mean, I think that's
so nice. I think that's the best thing about our job is like, my God, like how much time do we spend as people? I don't even think it's exclusive to men and women. How much time do we spend thinking, oh, I have a feeling towards this person and they have a feeling towards me, and like that's wrong somehow. Like, two adults with tidy boundaries and like good health and hygiene practices, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yes, I like how she focuses on good hygiene. Okay, pay attention, guys. Yeah, you want a chance with her, good hygiene. Take notes, fellas.
We've had our podcast based upon hygiene.
Women too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as much as I would love to continue talking and hear more about how you tick, about what and who is sliding in your DMs, we are going to wrap our show up. With that being said, please tell all of our listeners where they can find you.
Kendra and Julie, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure. Like, I so appreciate this. You guys can find. Sorry, I'm like muting this.
No, that's okay, honey.
Do the
That's
echo
okay.
thing. But you guys can find me first and foremost. I check OnlyFans. That's why I'm not checking my Instagram DMs. Is because I'm on OnlyFans. OnlyFans.com/Lena. And then Instagram, I am Lena Paul XO, and Twitter, I am Lena is a peach. No underscores, no weird numbers. There's so many fake accounts. Keep me safe.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And we will be getting this up on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify. And for all the listeners that stayed on and listened to the entire podcast, I will be sending them a free fleshlight. Okay. However, I need the listeners to email teamkendra11@gmail.com, and I will pick one lucky listener to receive a free fleshlight. And I should have had like a special giveaway from you, Lena. Maybe we can, talk and see if we can get something sent from Lena as well. So thanks everyone for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.